Hey y'all, No here. Well, today I'm going to show you how you can go from this to this using one of these. So the problem we're tackling today is the age-old question, how do I keep the things that are in my backpack dry that I need to keep dry? Mainly your sleeping bag or quilt. I'm going to go through some things that are commonly used by people, but I think today I'm going to show you something that maybe I, again, have been the first one to think of trying. So the thing that, here it is. I think it might be more widely used than anything else is the trash compactor bag. And pretty simple. It's just a big old, very strong, durable bag that's not likely to get a hole poked in it. That ends up being about the same size as the inside of your backpack. So everything, and some people put everything they have inside these because it is so big, and then they'll try and secure it at the top with a twist tie or wire tie or something like that. And that probably works pretty well. It probably works very well, as long as you keep this secure. Another thing that I considered using in the past and considered it so strongly that I even bought one is one of these compression sacks. Okay, you may have seen these advertised, you may have even used them. So it's just a smaller sack that you can stuff things into and then use these straps to gradually squish it down to a smaller size. And it does a really good job of making things big like this into something smaller. But what I found was that, yes, you can compress it down to a small size, but that shape of the size ends up being like a ball. And so we know that things are spherical or shaped like a ball, generally speaking, don't pack into a backpack very well because they leave empty space that can't be used because of the shape of the ball. So, as I showed you earlier, this is what I've been trying to use or experimenting with really for several years now. And what it is like it's a Ziploc storage bag. And you can get these in different sizes. You can get them big enough to put like a big quilt or comforter inside of. And the way they work as sold is that you put like sweaters or quilt or whatever you want to store in the bag, and then you zip it closed, and then you take a vacuum cleaner and stick the hose in here. It sucks all the air out, and then you zip it up before the air gets back in. And so what you end up with is what I showed you at the beginning of the video, a pretty flat and compact size that's going to pack into your pack pretty easily because it's flat and it's square. It's not like a ball. But the problem I've always had in the past is that inevitably these Ziploc bags will leak air inside. And the reason they do is because all of the bags that I have found like this, you can get the air out of the inside of the bag two different ways. You can use the vacuum cleaner and vacuum it out, but it's also got like valves in the bottom that are supposedly one-way valves. And so if you're out in the woods or don't have a vacuum cleaner nearby, the theory is that you stuff, in our case, my sleeping bag inside here, and then you roll it, and that forces all the air out of these valves down here and won't let the air come back in. But the problem I have found every time I've ever tried it is, yes, it will hold the air out for a while, a few hours maybe, maybe even overnight sometimes, but before long, the air starts to come back inside. So what I've tried that I've never tried before is I have isolated the place where the air comes out of the bag, and I found that that's also the place where the air eventually will leak back inside of the bag. And so for this particular storage bag, what I found was that these two corners are the place where, when you roll it up, that's where the air is forced out. I thought at first it was coming out all along this bottom, but when I really tested it, I found that yes, the air goes through a couple of three valves here, but then the air is pushed to these corners, and that's really where it goes completely outside the bag. So what I did is I took several pieces of Gorilla Tape and I taped completely on top of the corners of the bag. I put about 3 different pieces. I put one piece going in this direction, and then a couple of pieces going around in this direction on each corner. And I had very good results, because what I found was after I taped these corners shut, and then I rolled it up, forced all the air out, was that the air stayed out of this bag for a whole week and didn't leak a bit. And so that, I think, is going to work. And the reason I like this idea really well is that even if you're using the compactor bag or the compression sack, if it's pouring down rain, and you're trying to get things out of the trash compactor sack to put in your tent, well, you've got that space of time where your sleeping bag may get exposed to the pouring rain. But if it's inside of one of these, I can hold this out in the rain for an hour, and it may get wet on the outside, but it won't get wet on the inside, because if air can't get inside, water is absolutely not going to be able to get inside. So just to give you an idea of what it looks like when you actually do it. So, and also to give you an idea of just how big of a sleeping bag this can hold. Okay, so this is a Big Agnes, a Big Agnes Lost Ranger 15-degree bag. So as you can see, it has a hood, but it's really not a mummy bag. It's a regular size sleeping bag. So what I usually do, or what I'm planning on doing, what I've done in the past with different other methods, is I always put everything that I'm going to be wearing or using the inside the sleeping bag. I just go ahead and put it inside the bottom of the sleeping bag, like your sleeping clothes, your inflatable pillow. I put just anything that I'm going to use, I go ahead and put it in there. That way it stays dry, and you don't spend a bunch of time looking for the clothes you're going to sleep in before you go to bed, because they're already in there. You can't lose them. So it's going to look something like this. So I'm just going to start with the foot of the sleeping bag, and I'm just going to start squishing it down inside there. And the question you may be asking is, well, if I've got a down bag, what's that going to do? Is that going to bother the loft of the down in my sleeping bag? And yes, it could, but I think once you get it out of this bag inside your nice dry tent, you can just take your sleeping bag and fluff it up pretty good, and that should restore any loft that you've compressed down inside of this compression bag. So when you start putting in there, you think, there's no way that's going to fit inside there. But you just got to keep squishing and squishing. And then it helps if you can kind of get your sleeping bag to fit up into these corners as well as you can. But, so as you can see, it's actually starting to fit inside there. So you got to squish it down pretty far so it doesn't spring back while you're sealing the top up. So they come with these little clips that that's used to close the zipper with. So I'm going to slide it back and forth several times to make sure this is completely sealed almost all the way up to here. Well, what I've done, I've left just a small opening there, about big enough to put 2 fingers in. And then what I'm going to do is, this is where the air is going to be forced out. So instead of rolling it towards the bottom, I'm going to roll it from the bottom towards the top. And what you want to do is kind of hold on to the zipper as you push the air out, because if you do it too fast, then it can actually pop the zipper open. So you want to do it slowly. And the easiest way I found to do it is just to get on top of it. All right, you can see it getting flatter and flatter as the air eases out. And what you want to look for is any spaces back here that don't have sleeping bag in them. That's where you're going to find air. Alright, so I've got almost all of it out now. And so what I'm going to do next is keep holding it down, and I'm going to quickly just give it a fold like this. Again, I'm just pushing it really slowly so I don't pop the zipper open. I put my knee on it again like this. think that's gotten as much of the air out of it as I'm going to get. So then I'm going to take my clip and I'm going to finish zipping it again. And I'm actually going to go up and down it a couple more times. And make sure you don't lose this. You may even want to carry 2 or 3 of these because it really does make it easy to zip up and make sure no air leaks back in. So then I unfold it like this, and we go from this big, gigantic, Big Agnes sleeping bag to something that's really flat, really rectangular. You can see this is just about this size that the inside of a pack would be. And let me get you a quick measurement here since I've got a ruler with me. So this particular bag is 16 by 18. So depending on the size sleeping bag you have, if you've got a mummy bag, you may be able to fit it into an even smaller size bag than this. So I haven't really tried this out on a trip yet, but I just can't imagine that this is not really going to work really, really well. And it's lightweight. You know, it's just a really good use of something that it wasn't really intended to be for. So if anybody does try this on a natural backpacking trip, I would love to hear from you. Let us know if it works in real life or not, because I've not tried this on an actual trip. I can't imagine that it wouldn't work, but you know, there's nothing like actually trying it out in the field to know one way or another. So hopefully that will be something else for you to try, and hopefully it'll work very well for you. I think it will. So until next time, God bless you each and every one for watching, and vaya con Dios.